Good morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. As you can see, sun is streaming in and I still have a hat on. These two things must mean we are still in lockdown, and we are. Now, starting to get quite tired of it, to be honest. So we're desperately trying to find things to amuse ourselves. So once I've got this video filmed, the boy and I will be in the garden mucking about. So today, a quick video. What I did a little while ago was I did a list of Beastmode fragrances. Now, a few got missed out and a few have been added to the collection since then. So I'm gonna, it's just an extension or a continuation to that video really, where we're gonna add some extra Beastmode fragrances. Now, what is a Beastmode fragrance? Well, a Beastmode fragrance to me, and certainly to Rich, means it must have, it must last a very long time, must have very strong projection, and it must have very strong sillage. It needs all three to be quantified as a Beastmode fragrance. So we're going to look at a few today, and in you know, I've done loads of lists, and generally they end up with me whipping out an Auto Parisi and saying this is my favourite. And I didn't really want to do that this time. So what I'm going to do is, there are obviously going to be Auto Parisis in the collection, in this listing. So we're going to start with the autos. Now, there were two I was going to pick from. I can't believe only Tironi made it into the last list. I'm assuming that's because I didn't want it to be too auto heavy. So the first one up is this one, which is Megha Mara, and it's up against Berger Musk. Now, these are two super long lasting fragrances. Megha Mara might be the longest lasting fragrance I have. It just lasts and lasts and lasts and lasts. But for the first couple of hours, it's incredibly loud, and then it does kind of sit closer to the skin. It's not a skin scent, but it isn't as loud as, say, Berger Musk. Berger Musk is got huge sillage. It's got huge projection, and it's incredibly long lasting, like Megha Mara. But because it's just got that little bit more volume, this is my Beastmode edition from the House of Auto Parisi. So Megha Mara is a brilliant fragrance, don't get me wrong, you will never complain about its performance, but Berger Musk just kicks out that little bit more. This is a true Beastmode frag. So they are my first ones up. Next up, we have a blast from the past, and this is Lapidus Pour Homme. This is £16 for 100 mils. It's not to everyone's taste, but my God, the performance on this is blistering. massive fragrance. Does smell very dated, and it isn't going to be, you know, not everyone's going to love this one, but I do. I don't get to wear it very often at home because my boy cannot stand it. It does have a very old, I mean, it comes from, like, I think 87 this came out, and it smells very much like it does. This is a new format, so I'm assuming that the older ones would probably be even bigger. But it's kind of got a bit of everything. There's even pineapple in here, which I don't really get, but it does have a very old school cologne smell to it. But my good grief, this lasts. A very big hitter. So for the money, I would just buy it blind by that. 16 quid, 100 mils, perfect. Right, next up, from the House of Mansara. You've got to give it to Mansara, haven't you? They do know how to make a perfume last. They really do. You know, there's so many in their collection are massive, really big hitters. And this one is Instant Crush. Now, there's a full review of this that was done fairly recently. So this is kind of like Mansara does the MFK BR540. I love this. A lot of people find it a bit too synthetic, a bit too big, but the performance is outstanding. It's sweet. It's got a little bit of that oud in there. There's a tiny bit of rose in there. It does, in fact, mimic BR540, but I think there's a little bit more going on and makes it a little bit more interesting. Beautiful fragrance, and I thoroughly recommend it. If you want to sample it, I mean, it's always good to sample anything, but you know, this is a really good fragrance, especially for the money. For the 60 ml, which is plenty, you're not going to get through that. It's a really good fragrance. Okay, next up, one of my discoveries of last year that I absolutely love, and Rich does too, and that's Mousse Illuminated from Rogue. This is a friend of mine was speaking to Manuel Cross the other week, and he's saying that when he made this, obviously it's IFRA, it's non-IFRA compliant, so there's real naturals in here, there's real oak moss and stuff in it. This was a combination of sort of Quorum, Halston Z14, Polo Green. This is what he wanted to capture, and he really has captured it. It's a beautiful fragrance. It's so nice. I could wear this every day. This is green, foresty, earthy, slightly spicy, massive performance. The opening couple of hours on this are huge. It really chucks out, but it lasts and lasts and lasts. If you get this on clothing, that clothing becomes Mousse Illuminated. This is a beautiful green fragrance. It's quite masculine, but again, the person that sent me a sample of this was a woman, and she loves it. So it is going to be unisex if you're brave, if you like fougères or, you know, that kind of green fragrance. And it does have a lot of similarities to Holsten Z14, to Polo Green, and to Tom Ford's Italian Cypress. It's all in that kind of world. I actually have recently acquired some vintage Polo Green, so I'm going to do a video in the next couple of days, hopefully, where I compare all of those fragrances with the vintage Polo Green to see how they are, you know, all going on. But I love this, and it's just such good value. Really, I mean, this is a little 30ml bottle, and I've had this quite a while. I'm about halfway through it, so it shows you how long it lasts, because I overspray and you do not need a lot of this. So thoroughly recommended. Right, next up we have a clone, and this is La Yucawam by Rasasi, and this is effectively a complete clone of Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. It's a little bit sweeter than Tuscan Leather. The raspberry note is dialed up a little bit more. I hate to say it, but I actually prefer this to Tuscan Leather. It's just a little bit more wearable. It's bigger. The performance is absolutely absurd. This lasts for days and days and days. It's just massive. The sillage is there. The projection is there. Do not overspray this one. Like Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather, this opening is, you know, it's just intense. It's like being in a briefcase or being in a shoe, but with a little bit of sweetness to it. I think it's just perfect. Again, this is winter leaning, definitely, because it's such a leathery monster. But I wear this in the sun, but, you know, moderate your sprays, because it is incredibly powerful, and it is a real 100% room filler. Because, you know, if you've ever smelt Tuscan Leather, or you've ever smelt this, you know that it has that very unique signature smell. People that know it pick it up straight away. If you're like on a bus, or, oh, do you remember going on buses? If you're on a, you know, if you're on public transport or something like that, and someone's wearing either Tuscan Leather or this, you'll pick it up straight away, and you know instantly what they're wearing. And this is really good. This used to be, I think when I first got this is about £50 mark. It's gone right up in price lately, so I don't know if it's being discontinued or it's really popular because it is such a more affordable version of Tuscan Leather. But again, I actually do prefer this to Tuscan Leather, which I know is a bit controversial, but purely because the performance is, for me, a lot better. So there you have it. La Yucawam by Rasasi. Big frag. Big frag. Okay, next up, back to the house of Mansara. This is the Oud exclusive. There is a full review of this below. Beautiful fragrance, very refined, probably the most refined fragrance I've had from Mansara. It's incredibly grown up, it's sophisticated, it's spicy, it's oudi, it's a little bit medicinal, it's amazingly long lasting, it's incredibly powerful. This is a real room filler, and as I said in the previous review, I didn't get this full. I got this in a Facebook group, and look at that. There's still so much of that left. You really don't need a lot. This is one of the few fragrances where you regularly get compliments on it 4 or 5 hours after you applied it. It just lasts that long, and it just projects so well. The sillage is amazing. You're in this bubble for the entire wearing. You know, this is I wear this to work. I come home and it smells not that much different to when I first sprayed it, sort of hours and hours and hours beforehand. So a really good one. Check out the full review of it so you can get a bit more of an in-depth feedback on this, because I think this is an absolutely special fragrance and a really important one. Okay. My number one Beast Mode fragrance in my collection at the moment that didn't appear in the previous listing, and that is this. And this is Iron Duke from Beaufort, London. I love this. This is such a special fragrance to me. There is a full review of it below. Please watch it, because I have an emotional attachment to this fragrance. It really reminds me so much of my father because of the ingredients and the notes that are in this. The materials used to make this incredibly special fragrance are, well, there's saddle soap in it. Now, in saddle soap, there's a compound which I think is called linium, which is often used in shaving foam, and it has that. It just smells like my dad used to smell when he shaved. And obviously, my dad was a heavy smoker, and this is a smoky fragrance. So that combination of saddle soap and smoke Just creates something wonderful for me. It's very, 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 takes me back. Smells always transport you anyway, obviously, but this one does a special job of it, so I love it. There's smoke in this, there's gunpowder in this, there's oud in this, there's everything in this, there's booze in this, and there's leather in this. So this opens up with a massive blast. It's kind of intense, it's smoky, it's boozy, it's a bit earthy. Beautiful stuff. And then when it dries down, which takes a very, very long time, it becomes very soft, old, rugged leather. And it's glorious. It's a real conversation piece. Uber masculine fragrance. But it's just, again, this was recommended to me by a woman who wears this and loves it. So it is unisex, but it's powerful. It's in your face and it fills rooms. So you do have to be a little bit careful with it. I certainly would never recommend blind buying any of the Beaufort collection because they're all very, very unique and very, very powerful fragrances. But if you can get a sample of this, I thoroughly recommend you do. This is a 50ml bottle. And I think this was a Christmas present to myself. This was about £110, I think, in the sale. Which is a lot of money and for a 50ml, but it's worth it because it's so powerful. This is going to last me a very, very long time. Beautiful presentation. It's a stunning bottle. The wooden cap is lovely. I can't say enough good things about this, but the performance is huge. I'm wearing it at the moment and I've only got a tiny spray on my arm and it's just filling up the room. It's smoky, intense, and then the leather that comes into it make this such an exciting fragrance. It's beautiful. I really hope you get to try it. So listen, my young son is bored of listening to his daddy waffle on, so I need to crack on and get him doing something of interest. So yeah, back to schoolwork, I'm afraid, for him today, and then we'll get out into the garden. So listen, thank you very much for your time. I hope you're doing really well. Crazy times, I'm well aware of that. Thank you for your continued support and thank you for the continued messages. We really appreciate them. Anything you need to know or anything that we can do, just hit us up and we will do our best to help you out with that. Listen, as always, and I genuinely mean this, thank you very much for your time. Stay safe and we'll see you on the next video, which will hopefully be tomorrow. Take care, cheers, and bye.